The corner booth restaurant was quiet, not silent, just calm in the way only a weekday afternoon could be. A soft jazz song floated in the background. Silverware clinked gently against plates. Laughter bubbled from a distant table where two old men sipped coffee and argued about baseball. Keanu Reeves sat alone by the window, his phone face down on the table, untouched. He wore a black jacket that blended into the shadows, and a cap pulled low, hoping not to be noticed. This place, a small Italian spot on the edge of town, was one of the few places he still came to without calling ahead. No cameras, no fans, no noise. Today, he hadn't come for food. He had come for silence. It had been 10 years since the divorce. He didn't talk about it. Not on interviews, not to friends, not even to himself, if he could help it. The marriage had ended quietly. No scandals, no legal wars. Just two people who had drifted so far they couldn't see each other anymore. Her name was Leah. She had been the only person who saw him before the world did. Back when he was just a skinny guy riding buses and auditioning in sweat-soaked shirts. And now, a decade later, he couldn't even remember the sound of her voice. Until today. The bell above the door jing-led. Keanu didn't look up at first. His eyes stayed on the half-empty cup of tea in front of him. But then something shifted. A hush fell over the room. And then came the soft, unmistakable giggle of a child. Then another. And another. 3 giggles, perfectly layered, perfectly matched. He glanced up, almost instinctively. That's when he saw them. A woman stood near the entrance, her back to him. Her hair was longer now, pulled into a loose bun, strands falling around her face. But it was her. Leah. And beside her 3 children, all around 6 or 7 years old, a girl and 2 boys. And the moment he saw their faces, something inside him stopped. They looked like him. Not vaguely, not slightly. They had his eyes, his exact eyes, same soft shape, same dark brown hue, same quiet, curious way of scanning the room. His breath caught in his throat. The girl looked up and locked eyes with him. She blinked. He blinked. Neither looked away. Then one of the boys tugged at Leah's coat. "Mama," he whispered, and she turned. The moment their eyes met, the restaurant disappeared. It was just them, and the silence between them stretched across 10 long years. Keanu stood slowly, not rushed, not dramatic. Just steady. He took a step forward, unsure if she would run, or freeze or scream, but she didn't move. She just stared. "Leah," he said softly. Her lips parted slightly, but no words came out. "Hi," he said. Still nothing. He looked at the children again. His voice trembled. "Are they?" Leah finally blinked. Then nodded. "Yes," she said. That one word shattered everything. Time. Space. Memory. Keanu looked down at them again. "I have kids," he whispered. Leah swallowed hard. "You did," she said. "You do." And then, suddenly one of the boys walked over to him, held out a crumpled napkin with a dinosaur drawn on it, and said, "Do you like raptors?" Keanu smiled through the ache in his chest. "Very much." They sat down at a booth in the far corner. A place where the shadows offered safety. No one disturbed them. Not even the waiter. They didn't need menus. They didn't need food. They just needed answers. But neither of them knew where to begin. "I wanted to tell you," Leah finally said, "but I didn't know how." Keanu stared at the children, who were now sharing spaghetti and passing a single meatball between them like it was treasure. "Why didn't you?" he asked. Leah looked away. "Because I didn't want to raise them in your world." His heart stung. "What do you mean?" "The cameras, the stories, the noise, they deserve peace." He nodded. He couldn't argue with that. But it didn't hurt any less. "I would have left it all." He said. Double quotes. "I know," she whispered. "That's why I didn't ask." The girl leaned over and tugged at Keanu's sleeve. "Do you like tea?" she asked. He smiled. "I do." She grinned. "Good. Mama says tea helps sad people." He blinked fast, fighting the sting behind his eyes. "It really does," he said. She handed him her tiny cup of milk and sugar and said, "Pretend." So he did. And for one small moment, surrounded by 3 children who looked just like him and a woman he once loved like no one else, Keanu Reeves felt the silence of the last 10 years finally start to break. Asterisk a table for four. Keanu sat in the back seat of a quiet taxi, still gripping the napkin with the raptor drawing. He kept staring at it. It wasn't just a child's scribble. It was the first thing he had ever been given by his own son. His son. He let that word settle in his mind. It felt too big, too late, too impossible, but it was real. 3 children, his children, and a woman he once loved still holding the truth like a locked door she never let him open. He didn't go back to the hotel that night. Instead, he walked around the block near the restaurant, past the bookstore where he once bought Leah a poetry book, past the corner where they used to share ice cream cones and dream about things they never believed would come true. His fame. Her gallery. Their marriage. Then the divorce. Then the silence. Now this. The next morning, his phone buzzed. A message from Leah. They asked about you. They want to see you again. Today at 4, if you can. His hands shook as he typed back, I'll be there. When he arrived, the kids were waiting outside their small white house. Modest. Quiet neighborhood. A garden full of sunflowers and chalk drawings on the sidewalk. The 2 boys were playing with toy cars in the driveway. The girl was sitting on the porch, drawing another dinosaur. This time it had a cape. When she saw him, her face lit up. You came, she shouted, running toward him. Keanu knelt down, arms open. She crashed into him like she had known him forever. We made cookies, she said, and I saved you the biggest one. He smiled, swallowing back emotion. That's very kind. You look like us, one of the boys said, tilting his head. You have our eyebrows, said the other. Keanu chuckled. I guess that means I'm lucky. Inside, Leah was quieter than yesterday. More guarded. She wore a long sweater and held a mug of tea like it was a shield. They've been asking questions since yesterday, she said softly. I can answer them, he replied. I know, but what about after that? He didn't understand. What do you mean? She looked at him. After the cookies, after the laughs, what happens when you have to leave again? Keanu felt that question land in his chest like a stone. I don't want to leave, he said. But you will, she replied. Your life, or it's still out there. Movies, interviews, cameras, and they're just kids. They won't understand. He sat across from her at the kitchen table. Then let me try. Let me be here, not as a star, but as a father. Leah looked down. I'm scared. Keanu. Me too. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Then, from the hallway, came a tiny voice. Are you our dad? Keanu turned. The little girl was standing there, holding a cookie. I think I am, he said gently. Do dads live here? He looked at Leah. Maybe, someday. The girl walked over and placed the cookie in his hand. You can have this one anyway. They spent the afternoon in the backyard. Keanu pushed them on the swings. Played catch. Helped build a lopsided fort with sticks and bed sheets. Every now and then, he would catch Leah watching from the kitchen window. Quiet, cautious, hopeful. But that hope didn't last long, because later that evening, a silver car parked across the street. A man in sunglasses snapped a photo from behind the wheel. Then drove off. Leah's face went pale when she saw it. They found us. Keanu frowned. Who? The press. Back inside, Leah closed all the blinds. I knew this would happen, she whispered. It always does. Keanu stepped forward. Let me handle it. I can talk to them. Tell them it's private. Leah shook her head. You don't understand. Once they know, they'll never stop. And the kids, they'll become headlines. He didn't argue. He knew she was right, but he also knew he couldn't disappear again. Not this time. We'll figure it out, he said. You keep saying that, she replied, her voice cracking, because I mean it. That night, as the children slept and the house grew quiet, Keanu sat alone in the living room. He looked around at the drawings on the fridge, the mismatched shoes by the door, the sleepy dog curled on the rug. A life he never got to know. But a life he now wanted to protect. With everything he had. The headline next morning, the world knew. Not the whole world. But enough of it to cause a storm. Someone had leaked the photo. Keanu Reeves outside a modest home. Smiling, holding the hand of a child who looked too much like him to be coincidence. The headline on the gossip site read, Keanu's secret family. Another site added fuel, 3 kids. Same face, Same smile, same dad. Leah's phone began to buzz non-stop, her email filled with requests for comments. Reporters started driving slowly by the house. Neighbors noticed. People whispered. Keanu sat on the porch, his cap pulled low, watching it unfold with a quiet sadness. He had wanted to protect this. But now, the story had a life of its own. Inside, Leah was pacing. "This is exactly what I was afraid of," she muttered. Keanu stood beside her. "I'll release a statement. And say what? That it's private, that I just reconnected, that the children are innocent." She looked up at him. "They won't care, you know that." He nodded. "But maybe if I say it calmly, with dignity, they'll back off." Leah gave a bitter laugh. "You still believe in the goodness of the media?" "No," he said. "But I believe in setting the tone." They recorded the message that afternoon. No press conference. Just Keanu, sitting in a quiet room. Simple shirt. Tired eyes. No script. He spoke slowly. Gently. "I've recently reconnected with someone from my past, someone who means a great deal to me. And in that reconnection, I was given a gift, 3 beautiful children. Yes, they are mine. And no, I didn't know. But I know now. And I intend to be present, respectful, and careful moving forward. This is not for headlines, it's about healing. And I ask that you allow us that chance." The video went viral. In hours, people were stunned. Some were supportive, some were curious, some were cruel, but most were silent, because something about the way he said it felt honest. That night, as Leah tucked the children into bed, one of the boys asked, "Did he leave because he didn't want us?" Leah froze. Then sat on the edge of the bed. "No," she whispered. "He didn't leave you. He didn't know you." The boy frowned. "But didn't you tell him?" Her voice broke. "I was scared. I thought maybe you'd be safer without the world watching." The boy looked at the ceiling. "I think he's sad too." Leah nodded. "He is." In the living room, Keanu stared at a family photo from years ago. Not his. But theirs. Leah and the kids. A birthday party. Balloons taped to a kitchen wall. Faces glowing in candlelight. He wasn't in it. He had missed everything. First steps. First words. The day they lost their first tooth. The time one of them broke their arm. Every scraped knee. Every bedtime story. Gone. He didn't cry, but his hands trembled as he held the frame. Behind him, Leah entered quietly. "I wanted to send you that picture," she said. He turned. "Why didn't you?" "Because part of me wanted to pretend you were already gone." He looked down. "I'm not gone now." "No," she said, "but the kids don't understand time the way we do." The next day, Keanu took the children to a small park outside town. No cameras. Just trees, a pond, and some ducks. They walked hand in hand. The girl asked him, "Did you ride horses in the movies?" He smiled. "Yes." "Were you scared?" "A little." She nodded. "It's okay. I was scared of the vacuum last year." He laughed. "That makes 2 of us." They sat by the pond, throwing bits of bread to the ducks. Then the other boy turned to him. "Do you love our mom?" Keanu paused. He didn't look at Leah. He looked at the boy. "I did. Very much. Do you still?" Keanu looked down at his hands. Then slowly said, "I don't know yet, but I care deeply." The boy nodded. Double quotes. "Okay." Double quotes, as if that answer was enough. Maybe it was. That evening, back at the house, Leah stood by the window as the sun set. "They like you," she said. Keanu sat on the couch, shoes off, socks mismatched from the backyard. "I like them too." She hesitated. Then added softly, "You're good with them." He met her eyes. "I want to be better." Silence. Then she whispered, "So do I." The stranger at the teeth knock came just after breakfast. Keanu was helping the children pour cereal when Leah's phone buzzed with a message. Her hands froze mid-reach. Then her face changed. A shadow passed through her eyes. She walked to the door without a word and opened it slowly. Keanu couldn't see who it was at first. He just heard a low, familiar voice. "Hey, Leah." Then he stepped into view. A tall man. Fit. 10. Maybe in his early 40s. With sunglasses resting on his head and a nervous smile. Keanu felt something inside him tighten. "Who is that?" one of the kids whispered. Leah stepped aside and let the man in. "Kids," she said carefully, "this is Adam." Adam smiled. Hey, guys. The children didn't respond. They just stared like animals sensing a change in the air. Keanu stood, wiping his hands on a kitchen towel. Leah turned toward him. Keanu, this is a friend. Adam extended a hand. I've heard a lot about you. Keanu shook it, but his face stayed calm. Neutral. Double quotes same. Leah glanced between them, then said quickly, Adam's been in the kids' lives since they were little. Keanu's heart dropped. How little? Since they were born. Adam added, I was there in the delivery room. Held them before their first breath. Silence. The kids looked confused. Keanu tried to keep his breathing steady. So you're Adam? Shook his head. No, not their dad. Just someone who tried to help. Leah's voice was quiet. He supported us, emotionally, financially. He helped when I had no one. The room grew heavier with each word. Keanu nodded slowly. Thank you, he said. Adam smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. They deserve the world. The children didn't say much that day. They kept glancing between the two men like they were trying to figure out a puzzle. By afternoon, Adam had made himself comfortable. He brought gifts. Toys. Treats. A remote-controlled truck for the boys. A music box for the girl. They said thank you politely, but didn't rush toward him. Keanu noticed they were still unsure. Just like him later, when the kids were playing outside, Keanu pulled Leah aside. Why didn't you tell me about him? She looked down. I didn't think it mattered now. Of course it matters, he said, struggling to stay calm. He helped raise them. I know, she replied. But it was never romantic. You sure? She nodded. Double quotes. Adam wanted more, but I never let it happen. I couldn't. I was still holding onto something else. To me? Leah didn't answer. And that silence said more than words. That night, Adam stayed for dinner. He told stories. Tried to impress. Keanu stayed quiet, letting him talk. He watched the way Adam looked at Leah. It wasn't subtle, and Leah didn't seem to notice. Or maybe she did, and didn't want to make it worse. After dessert, Adam stood up and stretched. I'll be back tomorrow, he said, taking the kids to the arcade. Keanu tensed. Leah opened her mouth to respond, but one of the boys beat her to it. Can Daddy come too? Adam's face stiffened. Keanu blinked. You called me Daddy. The boy nodded, then looked down shyly. Keanu knelt beside him. You don't have to say that until you're ready, he said. But I want to, the boy whispered. I think you're mine. Keanu's throat tightened. Adam muttered, I'll see you tomorrow, and walked out without another word. That night, Leah and Keanu sat on the porch under a dim porch light. Crickets filled the silence. Keanu finally said, He's not over you. I know. And you? She looked at the stars. I'm just trying to do what's best for the kids. Keanu leaned forward. Maybe what's best is truth. She turned to him. You're right. And it's time. The next morning, Keanu woke to the sound of quiet giggles. The kids had snuck into his room and piled on the bed with coloring books. He smiled through half-closed eyes. What are we drawing? Family, the girl said. Keanu looked down and saw himself drawn beside the three kids. Leah was there too. But no Adam. You forgot someone, he said gently. The girl shrugged. I only draw who I love. At noon, Adam came back. But this time, Keanu was ready. He stepped outside to meet him alone. We should talk, he said. Adam crossed his arms. About what? About stepping back. Adam scoffed. You think you can just show up and take my place? Keanu's voice stayed calm. I'm not taking anyone's place. I'm filling mine. Adam leaned in. They're not just yours. You weren't there. I know. But I am now. You're famous. Adam spat. You'll get bored, then vanish. Keanu looked him in the eye. I've made a lot of mistakes. I won't let this be one of them. Adam shook his head. We'll see. He turned and walked away again. But this time, there was no promise to return. Inside, Leah sat at the kitchen table, watching the whole thing from the window. When Keanu walked back in, she stood. You handled that better than I thought, she said. Keanu looked tired. I'm not here to fight. I'm here to build. She walked over, touched his hand. Then let's build together. The night he didn't leave, it started with a cough. Nothing serious. Just a light one from Malaya. The quieter of the twin boys. Keanu noticed it during breakfast, then again in the car on the way to the library. But by the afternoon, the cough had changed. Deeper. Tighter. As if something inside him had closed up. Keanu placed a hand on his forehead. It was burning. Leah, he called softly. Can you come here? She rushed over and saw the boy lying on the couch, shivering despite the warm weather. His skin's too hot, she said, panic already rising in her voice. Keanu stayed calm. We need to go to the hospital. The drive was fast and quiet. Keanu held Aliyah in the back seat, whispering softly while Leah drove with her jaw clenched. At the emergency room, nurses moved quickly. Fever 104. Rapid pulse. They ran tests, gave fluids, and separated them from the other children. Leah clung to her other two kids in the waiting room, trying not to break down. Keanu stayed with the LIH. Holding his hand, smoothing his damp hair back, reading softly from a picture book he grabbed from the car. The boy kept whispering, "Don't leave." And Keanu kept replying, "I won't," over and over again. 3 hours passed before a doctor returned. It's a viral infection, she explained. Serious, but we've started treatment. He'll need to stay overnight. Leah exhaled so hard she almost collapsed. The doctor added, "He asked for his dad when we gave him the medicine." She looked at Keanu. "He means you." Keanu nodded. That night, Keanu stayed at the hospital. He didn't sleep. He sat in the stiff chair beside the hospital bed, watching over LIH. At one point, the boy opened his eyes and whispered, "You're still here." Keanu smiled. "Always." The boy blinked slowly. Then whispered, "Can I call you Daddy forever?" Keanu's chest tightened. "You already do." Back at home, Leah sat with the other two kids on the couch. They watched an old movie but didn't laugh. They kept looking at the door. "Will he be okay?" the girl asked. Leah nodded, but her eyes were glassy. "Your dad's with him." The boy tilted his head. "He didn't run away." "No," Leah said softly, "he didn't." At sunrise, Leah arrived at the hospital with a fresh set of clothes and coffee. She found Keanu half asleep in the chair, his head tilted, hands still gripping Aliyah's. "You didn't sleep," she said. He opened his eyes. He didn't let go. Leah handed him the coffee. "You could have left." "I couldn't," he replied. "Not anymore." She sat down beside him. For a long time, they didn't speak. Then she whispered, "This is who I hoped you'd become." Keanu looked at her. And for a second, all the walls between them disappeared. They brought Aliyah home the next evening. Still weak, but smiling. The other two kids ran to him like he'd returned from war. They all piled into the big bed and refused to sleep without each other. Keanu stayed until they dozed off, then found Leah in the kitchen, quietly folding laundry. "You did good," she said without looking up. "So did you." He sat beside her. She hesitated. Then asked, "What would have happened if I told you back then?" Keanu didn't answer right away. Finally, he said, "I would have stayed, but I might not have been ready, and now I'm more than ready." Leah reached into the basket and pulled out a tiny sock. Held it up. They were so small. "I missed everything," he said quietly. "Not everything," she replied. "They still need you, and so do I." That night, Keanu didn't sleep at a hotel. He stayed in the guest room, not because it was convenient. But because for the first time, it felt like home. The forever question. A week passed. Then another. The media cooled down. Adam never returned, and Keanu became a rhythm in their home. He helped with lunches. Walked the kids to school, even learned how to braid hair sort of. He burned eggs twice, spilled juice 3 times, and once wore mismatched shoes to parent pickup. But the kids didn't care. They just smiled and called him Daddy like they'd been doing it their whole lives. Leah watched it all quietly. She didn't say much, but every night she sat a little closer on the couch, laughed a little longer at his jokes, and when she thought no one was watching, she'd reach for the photos on the fridge with new tenderness. One night, she whispered as they stood outside under the stars, "You don't feel like a visitor anymore." Keanu turned to her. "I don't want to be." Then came the plan. Crafted entirely by the children. With crayon drawings. And glitter. And complete, unwavering seriousness. They called it Operation Together Forever. They taped a big poster in the living room. It had stick figures of all 5 of them, holding hands. With a sun, and a house, and a little dog. Even though they didn't have one, underneath, in bold red letters, "We want our daddy to live here." They handed Keanu a handwritten card that said, "Dear Daddy, please don't live far away. We have beds, and love, and cereal." Keanu read it 3 times. Then looked up at Leah. She was already crying. "They mean it," she said. "So do I." Later that night, Keanu packed his things from the hotel and moved into the guest room without fanfare. But the house felt different. Like the air had shifted. The kids danced in the kitchen that morning. And Leah smiled through her coffee, like someone who had just started dreaming again. 2 days later, the doorbell rang. It was unexpected. Keanu opened the door and froze. His older sister stood there, someone who hadn't spoken to him in years. "Hi," she said softly. "I saw the video, and I thought maybe I should meet them." Keanu swallowed hard. "Comin'." The kids came running. His sister knelt down, tears in her eyes. "You look just like him," she whispered. They stared, and then hugged her without hesitation. That night, round the fire pit in the backyard, the kids asked, "What happens now?" Leah smiled. "We live." Keanu added, "We love." Then the girl asked, "Do you still love Mommy?" The question hung in the air. Leah looked down. But Keanu didn't hesitate this time. "Yes," he said, "and I think I always have." Leah blinked fast. Then whispered, "I love you too." The kids screamed, threw marshmallows in the air, and danced barefoot in the grass. Weeks passed. The house settled into a new normal. Keanu went back to work for a bit. But now he had 3 faces waving at him from a laptop screen every morning. Leah started painting again, and the fridge was full of photos, new ones. With everyone in them. On a quiet Sunday morning, Keanu stood in the hallway looking at an old family photo. The first one with all 5 of them. Leah stepped beside him. "They drew that picture," she said, pointing to a frame beside it. "The crayon family. They said it's real now." Keanu took a deep breath. "So am I." A final scene at a small backyard wedding, just the kids, a few close friends, and a minister. Keanu stood under string lights. Leah in a simple white dress, barefoot. The children holding flower baskets and giggling. "Do you promise to never disappear again?" the girl asked before the vows. Keanu smiled. "I promise." And then, he didn't just say "I do." He knelt beside each child and said, "I do," to you, one by one. 3 times. The vows weren't perfect. The rings were plastic toys swapped out for real ones later. But the love was unforgettable, and finally, forever began.